buenas tardes. My name is Kimberly Blackrincan. I am the ACES Engagement Coordinator. I work for the ACES program doing family engagement and doing presentations such as this to families to learn about ACES. And once we have students in the program, making sure that they're connected to support and resources. I'm also joined tonight with two of our fabulous ACES ambassadors. We have Tracy and Kenya. They are Montgomery College students and they are on the ACES pathway, and we will hear from them a little bit later to hear about their experiences.
Thank you so much, Kim. And I just wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping items, if you will. First and foremost, as we've asked, just make sure that you're on mute during the presentation. At some point, if you'd like to ask questions, certainly you can go ahead and write your questions in the chat and we will get to them near the end of the presentation. And then too, we ask that at the end of the presentation, if you would stay on and complete our feedback form. We appreciate it because ultimately that helps us to just know what it is you like and what it is we need to improve. So we're truly thankful and grateful that you're here with us. And with no further ado, here is Kim.
Thank you, Danielle. Welcome, everybody. I am so glad that you took time out of your day to be here. I know that as a parent, there are many obligations, especially around this time of the day, just getting everybody settled after school and food, or people are going to work. So thank you so much for making the time to come this evening and be with us to learn about the ACES program. Before we get started, I have a very quick poll that's going to show up in the chat. If you can take just a moment, I'd love to know what grade your child, if your child is in 10th grade, and what high school they attend. The results are not going to show up. This is just for you to complete. I'll give you just maybe 30 seconds to do that. So feel free to click on that link right in the chat so I can get to learn a little bit more about all of you. Okay, I see Clarksburg, Blair, Gaithersburg, Kennedy, Northwood, Paint Branch, Wheaton. Thank you so much for completing that. So I do have a question. I'm sorry if there are duplicate questions in there about your child's high school. But for those of you that selected other, what high schools does your child attend? You can put that in the chat or you can message me privately. What other high schools or schools do we have represented here? Okay, great. Northwest High School, thank you. There's any more, you can keep dropping them in the chat. So I'll keep going with the presentation, but I did want to get a sense of what schools do we have represented here. And part of why that's so important is because the ACES program is only in 14 high schools. So I want to make sure that as we're going through the presentation, only students at those high schools can apply and be part of the ACES program. However, I also know we have wonderful family members who may be attending for a niece, a nephew, or a family member, or some other relative or neighbor to get information, and that's great, and we're glad that you're here as well. I just wanted to give you a heads up that this particular program is only for students at these high schools that I will get to in a moment, or that you saw in the drop-down box. So thank you for completing that survey. Slide, please. Okay, so why ACES? Why was this program created? So as you can see in the bullet points, there were many high school students. This program started about 8 years ago, where they intended to go to Montgomery College, but they weren't enrolling. So that was one reason why this partnership was established. And also, we wanted to make sure that our MCPS students who are academically qualified, but at risk of not persisting in college. So we wanted to find those students who had the desire to go, but they needed support. They had barriers and challenges that they needed to overcome. And so that was another reason for establishing this program. And then the last bullet, as you can see, by 2025, this is a Maryland goal, is that we want to be the first state in the country with 55% of its population getting a degree beyond high school. So that is something that had been set at the state level. So this is where the ACES program came in. Thank you. These are the 14 high schools where the ACES program is located. And as you can see, it's in alphabetical order. We are only in these 14 high schools. So if your student or family member attends a different high school, unfortunately, they cannot participate in the ACES program. We are currently at this number. We started in 10 schools, and over the 8 years, we've now expanded to 14. If you are at a high school that doesn't have the ACES program, I'm going to strongly encourage you to take advantage of the College and Career Information Specialist who can assist your child. And in this program, in the ACES program, our coaches collaborate with that same position in the high school. So this resource is still available for students, just not the ACES program. So next slide. Oh, thank you. I do see a question in the chat, and I will answer that at the end. But it is a question about why is it not offered at Gaithersburg? So I'll address that at the end. Thank you. So here's the pathway. It starts in Montgomery County Public Schools. It continues to Montgomery College, and then the universities at Shady Grove. For those, I'll get into a little bit more about what is in universities at Shady Grove, but essentially this is a program, or a campus rather, located only in Montgomery County, where our 9 Maryland institutions have their campus located there. So they have staff and faculty that teach. So that's Towson, University of Maryland College Park, Salisbury, just to name a few. All of those colleges are located there. And students who are on the pathway would attend this campus. It's in Rockville, and they complete their last 2 years of their bachelor's degree. And when they graduate, their degree says Towson or Salisbury. So it's an opportunity for students who live in the county to be able to finish their degree without having to travel to another county. So that's why we have this partnership, so that students have a pathway from high school all the way to the universities at Shady Grove. And our specific goal with ACES is we have individualized support, and we increase college enrollment and completion. That is our goal. We're making sure that students who start in high school go all the way through to their bachelor's degree. Next slide, please. So here are some highlights about our program. We do not have a GPA requirement. There are other college access programs in the county that they do have a requirement, but we do not. We have summer programming and one-on-one student support. So that means that there is a coach that is assigned to a specific number of students at the high school level, at Montgomery College, and at the universities at Shady Grove to help the student navigate their college experience. Lastly, recruitment is in 10th grade. And this is very important because this is the only time to get into the ACES program. So current 10th grade students This is the time that they apply. Right now, the application is open, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But they do apply, and we accept 60 students at each of those 14 high schools. Only 60. So when a student is filling out the application, we are looking at students who have multiple barriers to getting their bachelor's degree. And as you can see in our demographics, this is what students self-identify. Are they first-generation college student? Are they in an underrepresented group in higher education, which is primarily African-American or Latino? Do we have students with differing abilities? Are they in a single parent household? Are they low income? So students self-identify, and then once all the applications are in, we're able to see at each of those high schools, which of those students have significant barriers. We would love to be able to accept all students that apply in the program, but unfortunately we cannot. We have, that is our caseload, is 60 for accepting. So in that high school, that coach has a caseload of 120 junior students, 60 juniors, 60 seniors. Okay, so, oh, I'm sorry. There's, oh, okay, great. We'll go to this slide. So this is the ACES pathway. So you can see our numbers. So of course we have a very large number at the high schools because we're in 14 high schools, and then they transfer on to Montgomery College if they stay on the pathway, and then on to the universities at Shady Grove. So about 3 years ago, we had our first cohort of students graduate that went all the way through the pathway from high school to the universities at Shady Grove, and our numbers continue to grow there. If you look down in the bottom circle, it says other colleges. So we are a best fit program. So that means in the high school level, the coach works individually with that student to come up with their plan. So if they do not go to Montgomery College, and let's say they want to go to the University of Texas because they have the best engineering program that they're looking for, the coach will assist that student through that process at the high school. Once a student leaves, goes off to Texas, the ACES support does not continue. You have to stay on the pathway to continue to receive that support. And then the last circle, you can see some of our students go off into the military, or they go right into the workforce as well. But our primary goal is to get students from high school to the universities at Shady Grove. That is really what we're trying to do, or a college of their choice. Okay, next slide, please. Here's the structure of our program. So on the left side, you can see Montgomery College, where we have a director, assistant director, myself as the engagement coordinator. We have an arts and culture coordinator who I can talk a little bit more about that, but gives students experiences with going to museums. Obviously, this was in person, but really exposing students to the arts and culture in our area, and also to support our students who are looking for a career. So she provides career readiness support for those students, and she oversees our ACES ambassadors that we're going to hear from a little bit later. Just continuing down the chart, we have some program staff. You can see our coaches, and then our campus coaches that we have as well. The universities at Shady Grove, they also have a case manager, and their primary role, they have two roles. One is to help with career readiness, which is embedded on the pathway. And then also the ACES Success Coordinator, that's the ACES coach. So that's who, once students transfer from Montgomery College to a program at USG, that's their person that they meet with, and they have workshops, and I'll talk more about what the coaches do, but that's who that is. Okay, next slide. So let's talk a little bit about the application process. So I want to make sure I have this on the front end, and then I can answer questions at the end. But right now the application is open. It's open until January 15th, 2021. If you go to the ACES webpage, you can apply, click on apply, click on the student application. There are some program consent forms that parents need to fill out. I will try and share my screen if I can show you what the page looks like. Let's see here. Okay, so in the chat, there's a link, but I want to show you right here. Here's our ACES webpage. Right here, if you click on apply, it takes you to the criteria. So these are the students that we are trying to serve. Here are the consent forms. So parents, you do have to give consent for your child to participate in this program. And we have all the forms here in all of our top 6 languages. And there is some information that we are asking our students to complete a Montgomery College application once they are accepted into the program. And while students don't have to go to Montgomery College, by a student completing that application, we can provide them with more resources and information when we have, when they've applied. And then there is, as I said, an academic ACES coach at each of the high schools, and I'll show you who they are in a moment. But I wanted to make sure I showed you the web page, actually what it looks like. So a student would click here, apply to ACES, and then the student fills this out by ID number, basic demographic information, parent information, race and ethnicity, high school, grade, language. So all of the information is on here. Students, if we have any students on, please incorporate any activities or jobs or any experience that you've had, because it helps us to get to know you a little bit better. We also want to know if you've been involved with any other college readiness programs. And then a student has to write an essay. And here it is right here. Here are the 3 questions. You pick one question, and then the student would put it in here and click submit. We do have the option of students can start the application and then they can save it and come back, so they don't have to do it in one sitting. So that's the web page. If you wouldn't mind bringing back up the presentation, please. I have a question in the chat about a student who's already completed the application process. Great, thank you for doing that. I'll talk a little bit more. So you're done. Once you've done the application, I'm glad that you're here so you can learn a little bit more about the program and what we have to offer. So the next step will be the application closes January 15th. We have about a month where the coaches go through all the applications that they've received, and they identify and select their 60 students that they're going to have at their program. So thank you for completing it and having it done. So a little bit about the role of the academic coach. So as I said, this is individualized support. This is what makes us different. So you can see in the bullets here that the coaches are really providing that one-on-one support. If you remember back on a slide or 2 ago, a large portion of our students are first generation, which means they don't have a parent who has gone through the college experience themselves. So that is the role of the coach, to help them navigate through that. Next slide, please. Okay, here's a picture of our coaches. Maybe some of you have recognized them if you've been in the building before. We just hired our brand new Clarksburg High School. Today was her first day. Her name is Miss Andrea Johns. So she will be connecting with students at Clarksburg, and also through the recruitment process, she is the point of contact. But as you can see, here are the coaches that we have. All of our staff that are academic coaches, they have a master's degree or higher. So these are staff who have experience working with college readiness, working with young high school or college students, and they have experience supporting students with that. If I am not mistaken, I believe that all of these coaches are also first generation college students. So they have all gone through the process themselves. So they're talking from personal experience. There is a question in the chat about parents being college graduates. No, that doesn't disqualify students. So when a student is filling out their application, there might be other categories that apply as well, and that's okay. So nobody is disqualified for that alone. It's just that is a large number of our students. Okay, next slide. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what happens at each level. So in the high school level, as you can see, here we are, 10th grade. We're doing recruitment and applications. So that's what's happening right now. Once a student is accepted, and they'll probably be notified in around February or March, somewhere in there, we will have an orientation. So there's a process where a student has to actually, if you wouldn't mind going back to the previous slide. Thank you. So they will get notified that they've been selected, and then a student has to follow up with a few other paperwork, and parents, you have to sign that as well, so that you know that your child is in the program. And then we invite you to an orientation, and you get even more in depth, and you get to meet the coaches, and you have an opportunity to get to know who's working with your child. And then the summer program. The summer program typically happens in July. It's a week long, and of course, like many other people, we had to do it virtually this year, and it was great. The students were engaged, they loved it, and it's getting them ready for college readiness. So that is the first experience that students have once they're accepted into the program. 11th grade, as you can see, that we are looking at career exploration, getting them ready for SAT test prep, any tutoring, college visits. So again, making sure that they're getting ready for their senior year when they are actually applying and going through that college process. There is a summer program after that. It's hosted by the Universities at Shady Grove staff, and that focuses on career readiness. And then the last step at the high school level is really making sure, the coach is making sure that the students are filling out the FAFSA application for financial aid, scholarships, college. Our campus coaches come in and meet students who are interested in coming to Montgomery College, and overall just helping them transition to the next level. There's a question in the chat about, does the summer programs have a cost? Great question. The ACES program is completely free. All the services and support that we offer is free for the students. So anything that we are inviting them to, workshops, summer programs, college visits, everything, the student does not have to pay. That is really important that I share that with you, because that's often a barrier that students have to participation, and we want to make sure that it isn't. So thank you for that question. Excuse me. So after 12th grade, if the student is going to Montgomery College, we have our Make Your Move summer program, which is an orientation into Montgomery College. Next slide, please. Okay, so once the students are at Montgomery College, the first year, as you can see, is about, we always have workshops. We have planning, financial aid, and career exploration. Those are like the 4 pillars that we have in our program that as they go through the pathway, that's their experience. We don't have a summer program after the first year, but we do encourage students to take summer classes. Same thing in the second year and beyond. So making sure, again, students are taking care of resources, that if they're having a financial issue, any question or help that the student needs, that ACES coach is available to provide that support. And then, of course, with help transferring either to a program at the Universities at Shady Grove or to another institution as well, and getting them ready for graduation. So that's what happens at the Montgomery College level. Next slide, please. Oh, great. So here we are at Universities at Shady Grove. And as you can see, it is the same support, right? So it's a coach who's there for the students, making sure the student is connecting with resources, tutoring, library, career readiness, financial aid. I don't know if you've noticed my theme, financial aid, financial aid. We want to make sure our students are getting the money they need to go to school. ACES does have scholarships for students, so that's a benefit as well. And we help students find those scholarships and make sure that they continue to apply for them so they have what we like to say debt-free college, right? So they're leaving with their bachelor's degree with no debt. That is a big goal that we have with the program. And then at USG in the second year and beyond, also, it's the same type of support. Again, making sure our students are on track for graduation and then career, right? Now they're going into the real world with their professional job, or we do have students who go on to graduate school. So the coach will help with that, making sure they're filling out the applications and all of that. I see in the chat a question about the presentation being on the website. We won't have it on the website, but I'm sure we can share this presentation with you afterwards. MCPS, Miss Danielle or Miss Norca can send it to participants. Okay, next slide. So this is what I really want to share this with you. And parents, you know, I'm a parent too. I have 3 kids. College costs a lot of money, right? And so when I'm sharing this slide with you so you can see the benefit of staying on the pathway. So if you look here, year 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That's what a bachelor's degree is, about 4 years. So main campus means they've gone to a 4-year institution. I'm just gonna use College Park as the example. You can see approximately how much that would be. And this is just tuition. That is not room and board. It's not, you know, if they have scholarships, this is just the base price for the tuition. Now, if you look in the section below, the row below, it says MC main. So that is going to Montgomery College, right? You can see the year 1 and year 2 because Montgomery College is a community college. And that means it's only 2 years. Students can get an associate's degree when they graduate from Montgomery College. They do have to go on to another 4-year institution to get the last 2 years so they get the bachelor's degree. But you can see there's a jump from year 2 to year 3 if they go off to a main university. If you look below in the last row, this is a student who has followed the pathway. So they started at Montgomery College and they finished their degree at the universities at Shady Grove. Look on the right-hand side and look at the breakdown, right? You go from 80,000 a year to, not a year, but 80,000 over 4 years to 26,000. That's a big difference, right? So I'm gonna strongly encourage you to please consider the pathway. Montgomery College is a very well-renowned community college with stellar faculty, wonderful programs, and we do have agreements with other institutions, other 4 years like Towson or wherever they'd like to go. The students can still graduate with a degree from another institution. They'll have 2. They'll have Montgomery College and then they'll have the other one where they finish. But it is a wonderful cost savings. I would also like to clarify, if you have older students, older children who are college age, the pathway is not exclusive to ACES. Anybody can do Montgomery College to universities at Shady Grove. So even yourself, parents, if you are interested in going to college, you can follow that pathway too. You can take those classes. Okay, next slide. So in addition to the academic support, there are a few other components that we have. We have academic support, as I was saying. We partner with a Saturday school and high school for SAT test prep. We help with the CLEP exam, which essentially is exams at the Montgomery College level for students who maybe speak another language. They can get college credit by taking this exam and they don't have to take the course, which of course means they don't have to pay for it. So that's how we'll help students, and we pay for the tests. We pay for students for the test prep. We pay for all of those things. I mentioned arts and culture. So we have an opportunity for students to be exposed to the arts in our local community, as well as students who are interested in pursuing a career in the arts. Family engagement. So this is an example of doing outreach of what we do. We make sure our families are informed as their child progresses in the pathway, and special events. We have not had any special events since we've been in COVID, but we do have orientations and opportunities like that. In the bottom right-hand circle talks about career. So it's very important that our students have internships, immersion experiences with local businesses. We just had one earlier this year with NIH. So exposing students to different careers to explore and connecting them, right? Networking is a really important part. And then student ambassadors, and we are going to hear from them in a few moments. That's Tracy and Kenya. They're going to talk to you a little bit more about their experience. But I wanted you to see that ACES isn't exclusively academic. We really try to have that holistic approach and opportunities and resources for our students. Next slide, please. So I've been talking about career readiness, and what is that, right? So we want to make sure, in addition to the academic piece, that our students are prepared along the pathway with career readiness. So I won't necessarily read through each slide, and the presentation is available in the chat if you want to download it and come back to it. But you can see all along the pathway, we have other we call them career coaches, who come in and also work with the students as well. So it's embedded, it's part of our program. They have that support. Okay, next slide, please. Great. Okay, I have covered the ACES overview. Hopefully you have that big picture view of what is this program and would it be something beneficial for my child. What I'm most excited is to introduce you to, we have 2 current ACES students in our program. They are ACES ambassadors. They are excited to be here with you tonight. And they're going to share a little bit with you about their experiences in the program and how it has helped them. So I'm going to call Tracy and Kenya, if you can turn on your mics.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kenya. Should I introduce myself first and then Tracy, or?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm a second-year student here at Montgomery College. I graduated from Northwood High School in 2019. I joined the ACES program my sophomore year of high school and have been really lucky to be part of it. ACES coaches have helped me tremendously throughout my transition in high school to Montgomery College, and they provided me with a lot of information about scholarships and different opportunities to help prepare for college, like free SAT courses or different like class schedules or dual enrollment, things like that, different information throughout high school to help prepare. And even now, at Montgomery College, they still send me scholarships that like specify for different students who are under like certain circumstances, such as like undocumented students or students that can't necessarily apply for FAFSA or their parents are undocumented, things like that. So they take a lot of that into consideration, and it applies to a lot of ACES students, which is really helpful. So yeah, they really just made things easier, and they're always available to help, not only academically, but also financially, which is really important. And they make things a lot easier, and you can always have like someone to turn to. So.
Okay, I will go. Thank you so much, Deanna. Hi, so my name is Tracy Aida. I am an ACES ambassador, as you can see. I graduated from Clarksburg High School in 2018. So I was recently, I believe, my goal to graduate would be in spring 2021, the latest, in psychology, and I also did biological sciences. I don't know, there's so much to say about ACES. Honestly, if it weren't for ACES, I wouldn't be here. And I'm not just saying that just to make you come and join. It is free though, but ACES really truly allowed me to get to where I am today. I am not the first in my family to go to college, but I will be the first in America to go to college. My family is primarily from Africa. We're from Ghana and Togo. I was born there, but I came here at a young age, and it was very complicated for us because being the first in the family to go through, the systems, the American system, was very confusing. It was very complicated. We weren't really sure which way to go. I originally planned on going to another school in Maryland. I'm not sure. I applied to University of Maryland, Salisbury, Towson, all our major schools here before. And my mother and I sat down. I am a child of a single parent, so it was very overwhelming looking at the prices. And for a second, we really considered just taking a gap year off, but you may know that that can typically lead to students just not coming back. So I spoke to my ACES coach. I let her know what our problem was, and she introduced me to the ACES Pathway Scholarship. I applied for it and I did everything that I could, and I got blessed. I got so lucky to get the ACES pathway. So after graduating, I plan on going to USG, but University of Maryland, Baltimore County, which will allow me to go to the school here while staying in Shady Grove. But the great thing about it is that I will still have access to the University of Maryland outside of the campus. So if you do decide to continue on this pathway, just know that although you will be here on this set aside campus, mini campus, you still have access to everything that is going on in the main campus at their primary location, which I think is very great if you want to stay active in sports or activities. I'm also a student working in the ACES office. So I work with the coaches and creating scholarship lists. So students, when you are, and if you do join, just make sure you're constantly communicating with your coaches, letting them know what's really going on with you in your life. I was very independent and I didn't want to talk about it, but coaches knowing what you're going through or what your problem is, or what they need to prioritize, definitely helps in knowing what focus that you need, whether it's financial aid, if you're having housing difficulties, mental problems such as like stress, you're not doing good. All of those were things that I had problems going on. And what I love about ACES is that they're a family. So if we don't know how to help you with something, we can find out how to help you, or the resource, or who to connect you with. And that was really what was very beneficial for me. So I hope that all of you will consider joining and doing the ACES pathway, or just connecting with our family. Thank you.
Kim, please unmute yourself.
Thank you for that reminder, Degia. Thank you, Tracy and Kenya, for sharing your experiences. Once we get to the question and answer, parents, feel free to ask our students some of their questions, but hopefully you've heard from what they've shared. Their ACES coach has been that person to support them along the way, and they're really important, and it's a family approach as well. So thank you, Kenya and Tracy, again for sharing your experiences. We can bring the presentation back up. I think we can wrap it up. Thank you. So here's how to contact us. This is our general information and our website, which is in, of course, the chat that has been posted in there. After this presentation, we do have special postcards. We saw the ACES flyer that's in there. We have one that's personalized for each of the high schools. So in your registration, you should have put your child's high school name, and I will follow up with a separate email to connect you with the coach at that school. So some of you I know have already applied. Thank you so much. Please know that that academic coach is there to answer any other questions that you have about the process. And we will, that's what you can expect after this. So I see, I was gonna move right into the question and answer. So I see a couple here in the chat. So the first question is about Do you have to remain a Montgomery County resident after high school graduation to continue it with ACES? No. The most important thing is that you're still enrolled at the college. So you can live in Frederick County, Prince George's County, DC, wherever you move to, as long as you're enrolled in Montgomery College, you can still stay in the pathway. Yes. And then the next question is about why is this not offered at Northwest High School? Students who have been, okay, it's in the chat, everybody can read it. So unfortunately, this program is not offered at Northwest High School. As I said, it was started in 10 schools and then it was slowly, we added other schools to that. The initial goal with ACES when it very first started was to be in all of the 26 MCPS high schools. But we, unfortunately, with funding, we were not able to do that. We could only start with 10, and then we've incrementally added more. And at this point, we are now at a moratorium where we're not adding new schools. If your child does need support with college and career readiness, all MCPS high schools have a college and career center. They have a specialist who's in the building, just like the ACES coach. The ACES coach has an office there. That CCIC can provide the same support. I will also say that that person can help your child navigate through that process. And I would also encourage you as the parent to find out if there are other college readiness programs at Northwest High School. There might be not exactly ACES, but there may be some other program that does do that. There's Collegiate Directions. There are a few other ones that can provide that type of service. So I'd be happy to, I see your name. I can follow up with you afterwards about some other resources to help your child with college and career readiness to make sure that they also get support. Thank you for that question. Are there any other questions? Any questions for our student ambassadors?
As moderator, I'd just like to ask a quick question to the student ambassadors. And the question is, so for a student who is, wanting to pursue ACES, what advice would you have for the student to get going and to get through their first year?
I would say just apply early, just make sure you have everything in on time. That was a big stressor my year because I think the deadline was right before we took a break. So it was very stressful just to make sure to get it in on time. Also just prepare to put in work in preparing for your own future, but also don't be stressed out by that because you have the help of ACES coaches to help alleviate a lot of that stress, but still be prepared to work amongst them to better your future and better your understanding of college.
Thank you. Did you want to share anything, Tracy?
Yes. I want to tie into what Kenya was saying. I really do agree with staying ahead because staying ahead allows you to be on time, and you're going to learn that in college. That's a really big thing that you should be in the habit of doing. And also staying organized. I live off of a planner. Without it, I am just lost. So staying organized, staying on top of things, and just knowing who to contact when you just need assistance overall, because the first year can be overwhelming. And during my first year, I was just school, home. I was not really involved in anything. And I do want to encourage students to go out there and just test things out. And now I'm part of everything. I'm part of every single activities, board, and club you can think of. And honestly, that alleviated some of the stress and overwhelming responsibilities I had because they allow me to look forward to other things that's just not school, because you're going to be in school for a while. So I would strongly encourage that, just to get active, get involved. It will be your campus as well.
Thank you. And
also, sorry, I just wanted to add, if your schools, any of your high schools offer dual enrollment, which is basically taking Montgomery College courses at your high school or now online. So they might be able to open up some more high schools. You guys should definitely look into that, because I took like a basic communications course my junior year of high school, or my senior year of high school, excuse me, and that transferred over to MC. So I started at MC with credits already, and it was a simple course. So it gives you like a understanding of how the college courses are going to be run and the pace. So it's good to get started early.
Thank you so much, Kenya. And Kim, I had a question specifically for you. What is the parents' role in ACES, and how do we support our children throughout this program?
Yes, thank you, Danielle, for that question. So the parent role, I like to think of it as that Venn diagram that we had earlier in the presentation. So parents, you are the expert in your child, right? The coaches, all educators, everybody's there to support, but you're the most important part, right? Because you know what to say to your child to support them. You know the right words they need to hear, right? Or have those conversations or encourage them. So as students go on the ACES pathway, your role is to have conversations with your child. What did you learn in the financial literacy workshop? How's the summer program going? A really big piece, I kept saying financial aid, with the FAFSA applications, parents, you have to fill out your own account and you sign it if you can. So you have a role, you have to provide tax information. So there's an opportunity where your child needs you to have access to financial aid. So that's just one piece, that's throughout, but it's that moral support. And then we also offer opportunities for parents. So again, we have some parents in our program who are looking for support with GED. They didn't graduate from high school. And we have some parents that are at Montgomery College right now, and we have some that have graduated with their child at the same time as they're on the pathway. And maybe they're looking for their graduate degree. So we also can support families and parents aside from their child in the program with aspirations of education or career as well through our workforce development. So there are opportunities as well, because we want to move the whole family, right? It's not just the student, it's the whole family. So I'd love to ask Tracy and Kenya, though, a little bit about their experience, how their parents supported them while they were on the pathway.
I can go first. My mom is she's strict. She's all about school. So she was just making sure that I was staying on top of things. I was still going to school. I was always a school involved student. So I wouldn't say that I was one of those that needed extra assistance, like academically or staying focused. I was actually the complete opposite. I overwhelmed myself. Just like Kenya mentioned, dual enrollment, I was dually enrolled. I was taking AP classes. I was just all over the place. And so my thing is, my ACES coaches actually helped me slow down. I had problems with like remembering to eat or to take a break. So when I was on campus, my ACES coaches would be like, Tracy, relax, like come here and talk to me, take a break. So I needed things like that, something for my mental status to just relax. So for me, those were primarily my biggest thing with my parents. They were always there when I needed to complete my applications. Especially as an immigrant, I always had something extra, or just to double check and make sure everything was different, since sometimes there might be different, applications or forms that I needed. So my mom was really, really great with that, providing information and support when I needed it.
Tracy.
Yeah, I would say my parents too are very helpful in the whole process. And like Tracy said, I was also born in El Salvador. So it's just different being an immigrant and having to have like all that additional paperwork. So my parents definitely worked hard to like have everything in advance, and also just have everything translated for when I needed to turn it in to ACES or FAFSA or whatnot. It would be accessible to me and my ACES coaches. So they were definitely helpful, and they were a motivating factor for me just to keep pushing forward in school and just stay ahead, as I wanted to make them proud and also be the first in my family to graduate from college. So it was really important to me, and they were very helpful just throughout.
Thank you, Kenya. And I'll also add, absolutely at the high school level, parents, you can communicate with the ACES coach. There's somebody that you can go to and talk with them about your child's progress. If you have a concern about your child, the coach is there to listen, right? And, you know, I'll make the plug again. As a parent, I know I can't do this by myself, and I'm looking for who's in my village or who's my community that I can go to and ask for help, because at this, I'm 16 years in the parenting game, I know I don't have it figured out, right? And I need support and people and resources who can talk with me to help me figure it out as a parent. So they're also a resource for you on the pathway.
Thank you, everyone. Are there any other questions? Because we are now at, I think the time is, let's see, I think we're almost 6:54. So what we're going to ask is that if you would, in the spirit of continuous improvement, we ask that you complete our feedback form. We're always wanting to know what we can do better. So please, by all means, do that. We are so thankful for Kimberly and also Tracy and Kenya for joining us this evening. You all did a phenomenal job. And we're just excited about the ACES program, and we're excited about just having the ACES ambassadors here with us. We ask that each of you join us again for the Parent Academy to Go. You can go to our website at www.mcpsparentacademy.org for our schedule, and also just to see the descriptions of future workshops. We appreciate you. We're thankful for you being here, and come back again. Good night, everyone.